because like I feel like time and distance are like they're so interwoven that like when you had the Pony Express or when you had letters being sent and they had to go these long distances and you had to wait between these like exchanges made stuff more valuable. Like, you know, the fact that when you got a letter, like that was a big deal.
Yeah,
like,
receiving mail was a big deal.
Yeah. And it's because we know the worth of it because now you send the emails there in like 4 seconds, you know?
Right.
And not that we don't care about some of those emails, but it's like the weight of things seems to have, I don't want to say lessen, but like it means more just when you know the effort that's put forth to get these things. That's why I became a writer, so you guys can read my stuff and I don't have to read it.
Yeah, you can be like, I can't read your stuff. I'm too busy writing.
It's a legitimate problem.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
No, I mean, like, I can make people read my stuff and then they can tell me how bad it is, or they can tell me that I should fix it. Or, I don't know.
I like that. I like when editors are fast readers.
You should not write anymore is probably what an editor would tell me.
You know what bothers me?
What?
Why, linguistically, does the word right start with a W? Oscar, I feel like you might know this.
I mean, I do know that it starts with a W.
I'm so
Which is
happy for you.
accurate.
Thank you.
That's about as far as my knowledge extends.
It's probably because it's like dramatic or Germanic or something, like it comes from like every other word in the English language. It has somehow deviates from something else and doesn't make sense. And we just stuck them all together because Britain took over all the lands. And
what's the country of origin of the word right?
I wonder if it's Welsh because it's got W in it. But like, I mean, it might be related to the word right, WRIGHT, like a playwright or a shipwright. So, but like, why would it morph into right for just writing?
Because I'm always
if you
right.
follow me.
Yeah.
Right, because if like modern English was trying to like make it efficient, then they would get rid of the W.
Oh, they try. So they tried to like modernize the English language back. I think it was in like the 60s or something. And like it got rejected by everybody.
Yeah.
Like there was no
By
PH. And
all the academics would be like, nah.
No, it's like you're erasing our heritage or something stupid like that. I don't know. Just
Wow.
Well, clink. Sorry. I didn't know we were cheers.
I was so angry.
Can you start the thing?
Woo! This is a timer. We don't know what it's for. We put it right here so everybody can see it. So no one can see it. When everyone's special, no one's special.
No one is special.
No one is special. But you're special to us. That's what makes you special.
Agreed. Welcome, everybody.
Yeah. Welcome
Thank
to
you for
Bards
joining.
and Balladeers.
Yeah.
Here I don't know, we reach spiritual enlightenment. I'm just drawing on this like.
Yeah, you're the one with the intro stuff.
Yeah. Oh,
Welcome to WRIT.
where everything here is right.
Smooth jazz.
Smooth Jazz 101.4. The whipping. I have no idea.
The whipping.
The whipping, yeah.
This is the worst horror movie ever.
Or
The whipping.
the whipping. You're gonna get it, boy. Whip. That's I don't know.
All right.
No. There's nothing racial about that. It could be anybody.
Follow the script.
You want me to read? Okay. I told you that was a mistake.
Yeah.
Welcome to Bards and Balladeers, everybody. Round number 54.
Fight.
Fight.
No, 55.
Is it 55 or 50?
55. It's right there. 55.
Hold on, let me consult my
55.
notes.
Well, he was about to introduce the wrong episode.
Number 55.
Glad you're caught up.
We are Bards and Balladeers. We podcast about story in all its forms, whether it be music, stories, written stories, movies, poetry, I don't know, screenwriting, video games, board games.
Bullshit.
Yeah, that too.
Quacking.
Quacking.
Bullquacking.
If you watch it enough, you know what that means. Not we're like weird by just making quack sounds all the time.
If you don't know, feel free to catch our last 4 episodes.
Yeah. We have French ducks now. Let's see. I am Rio. I am an author. Yeah, I'm also a curator of comic books. Don't laugh.
I was laughing because you had to look at the paper to know what your name was.
Yes. It's like,
At least that's how it appeared. I understand.
And also,
you told me to go behind the script.
No.
We did,
Yeah.
yes. And I am Kate. I am also an author / musician. And I do other things too. But yes.
What else does it say? Hold on.
I don't have a script.
Oh, okay.
That's why I flubbed it.
I'm Oscar. I'm a writer and gamer hardcore.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Extraordinaire hardcore.
He doesn't
whatever.
like to think he's nerdcore, but he's super nerdcore. So,
I do other things,
That's
man.
what defines you. You are nerdcore.
It doesn't define me. I define it.
Defy it.
Defy it too. You're watching us on YouTube, maybe Spotify. We are on iTunes and iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, all those lovely places. Please watch us and subscribe to us. And we love to hear what you guys think about any of the stuff. Whether it be on the site itself or we have a Discord where you can come to us and actually talk to us unadulterated and make comments and watch us do and say dumb stuff. So it's always fun there. We like being there. And all those links are down below. So check them out. All our links to our books and stuff like that. If you want to help us out personally, that would help. We have a coffee too that you can donate to us if you like what we're doing. Just kind of helps this whole process keep going.
Mm-hmm.
We really like that. So I don't think we have any special events coming up just as of late, but always check out our Discord. We post all our events there. And
Book Fair for Grownups is coming up in a few weeks. So yep.
July 11th. Yeah. So that is coming up. So we do have some events. We'll all three be there, so that's going to be kind of cool.
Hey.
Yeah. But today's topic is travel in fiction. Let me see if I can make more noise. Travel in fiction. And what is travel in fiction? I'm going to you to decide.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually an offshoot of our Vehicles in Fiction episode that we did not too long ago. We're really just trying to focus on the experience of travel in fiction and the purpose of traveling and what it might add to stories. And so sometimes you've heard the hero's journey, different types of quests, different types of journeys, quests, not quack, sorry. And what does it do for character? What does it do? How integral? Integral? Is it integral?
I don't know what you're trying to say, or else
it's needed for the plot.
It's integral.
Yes.
And also how does it tie into world building as well? That's my version of a summary. Feel free to chime in, Oscar.
And we default.
Take it away.
Travel in fiction. I mean, it's kind of the other side of the vehicles thing, not about how you get there or whatever, but
no, it's how you get there.
Sometimes the plot requires that the characters go from one place to another. Mm-hmm. Sometimes their growth requires it. And obviously, like Kate said, the hero's journey, it's the journey part of the hero's journey.
Right.
The whole, prophecy of the chosen one to go on a quest to save the world / universe, whatever. Yeah. I know I speak of it with such respect, but there's often a quest part of things. Sure. And, I feel like a lot of it is about, shifting perspective, really. I mean, there are some stories that take place in one place on one day, like Clue, like the movie Clue, not the board game, obviously, but that also takes place in one house. There's not a lot of travel involved. Sure. Unless you want to get really pedantic and say, well, you're traveling from one room to another. No, what's the experience like?
Yeah.
But yeah, like these other larger stories, like Lord of the Rings is a classic example of a hero's journey.
Journey to the east, journey to the west, journey to the west, Chinese,
it's a classic,
and Journey to the Center of the Earth, or Voyager, it's Voyager Journey, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, the whole show Voyager is about trying to get home.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
75 years.
Yeah.
You mean Star Trek?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Star Trek Voyager.
Yeah. Not everybody knows it.
There was another, there's some nerdcore. Like there's another show called Voyagers from that ended in 1984. Won't get into why. It's kind of dark and accidental. But it was about a couple of time travelers with a pocket watch that drops them, travels them through time, and they always drop out of the sky and into the shot. So you would think they'd have to get really good at falling at some point.
That or get a parachute.
Yeah, it would probably have been smart, maybe wear some foam.
Or bubble wrap yourself every time you travel and you're like, click.
Yep. You go into the past and they're like, what is this mysterious substance?
Yeah. And they just can't stop popping. You destroy the civilization because all they do is just pop all day.
Yeah. Once you pop, you can't stop.
Yep.
So, but yeah, just for one reason or another, sometimes characters have to go from one place to another just to accomplish a thing. Like, we talked about institutions and bureaucracy. Like I had to get my Turkish ID renewed once, and that required me to go to the consulate in Chicago. Because that's where the nearest consulate. Well, there's one in New York, but Chicago is closer.
Right. Cheaper flight ticket.
And I'm sure there's one in California or something, but Chicago is the closest one to me. And so I drove there and did all that at the consulate. So that's a reason that someone might need to travel somewhere. But, some of these plots are a bit more epic, and, especially with pirates, like half of the point is sailing around and stealing stuff that's not yours.
Sure. Yeah. And how do they travel? On boats and through water?
Yeah. You're dealing with trade routes. That's where you steal stuff from. So that you got to be traveling for that.
But so like when we talk about travel, again, vehicles was the means of travel, but traveling like through these things, like when you travel through water is very different when you travel across land via space, it's all that stuff. But again, one of the reasons why we do it also plays in a big part of the travel,
reasons why and the experience of it. Like, some people travel for fun. Like I love traveling.
Sure. Yeah.
And some people have a lot of anxiety about it. That's part of the experience. Like some people really hate to fly, and I'm like, no, I'm fine. I'll let the professionals drive,
Yeah.
But yeah, there's all kinds of things that can be part of it. Seasickness by boat or, trains aren't always the most comfortable things to sleep in these days.
Unless you have like those rooms or whatever. Or,
sleeping car.
Yeah, sleeping car, yeah.
But yeah, like I think we all have stories that we love where travel is happening quite often.
Yeah.
I think some of my favorite stories, actually, like you said, Lord of the Rings. I'm blanking now, but even like Master and Commander, I mentioned this last week too, a couple of different stories like 1917, Saving Private Ryan. Like it's all about getting to a place. And I feel like it's often a widely used trope, but it's not specifically like stated as a trope. The hero's journey, I think at this point is becoming a trope that people are just becoming exhausted with, and different ways that we can like subvert that, I think is fun. And I also think that an important concept of this is that you are crossing a threshold in some degree, and from your home to out there. Like the place of comfort to a place of discomfort, a place of innocence to a place of experience. And I think the idea of traveling, like we enjoy traveling, going to a different, country, going to a different place. There is like a culture shock that we go through, but like people like us, we seek it out.
Yeah.
Because it changes us. It helps us grow. And I think from a character point, it's really cool to see a character like, there's a movie called The Good Dinosaur, and it is a hero's journey, but it's a little dinosaur. Not little. He's like what's the
he's
long neck?
Car. Yeah, he's a brontosaurus.
Brontosaurus. And so he's the youngest of 3 dinosaurs. And I won't say a major like plot point in the beginning. Yeah. It's similar to Lion King in that aspect.
Sure, yeah.
And just going off and then coming back and being almost like a whole different person.
Right.
And without the experience of traveling, sometimes becoming a whole different person can be seen as like a bad thing. Like change can be seen as like scary or, like why would you change? But often this experience of traveling makes you just a better person, a more, when I say better, that's like loosely defined, but usually I'm trying to think of a good way to explain that.
I mean, I agree with you with the better because like a lot of people get stuck in their ways and don't ever leave home. And then like a lot of people, like you say, get mad at them or like they see it as a bad thing because why would you ever leave home? This is safety. This is whatever, but you never know what you can see or what you can gain or garner from any kind of expedition unless you go. And back to the Good Dinosaur real quick. It's like he was almost forced away from his home. And therefore, his home became the objective, and getting back home he grew on the way there, but it's also like he can finally be at a sanctuary and then like bring back what he has learned.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it's that. I don't know if there's a term for it, but it's sort of like a vision quest almost, where you're going somewhere and you, like a walkabout. You're traveling out and you're supposed to come back a wiser, more self-aware person. But like travel changes your perspective, and how better to be self-aware than to have multiple perspectives on who you are.
Sure.
Right now, you only have this one. You go out there, put yourself in a whole set of different circumstances that you maybe you took certain things for granted and now you don't anymore. And you become more aware of how you are and who you are in that context. And so if you can't just up and change yourself, you change the contexts you put yourself in to sort of get a grasp on who you really are. Like, how am I separate from my surroundings? One way to tell that, change your surroundings.
And see who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Too. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a huge part of it. But also, there's also things like forced travel, like exile, and, like even some things where you might volunteer to do it because it has to be done. But like, like for survival or something like that, where it's like, this isn't for fun. It's not for self-growth. It's like just for survival or some kind of mission, or because you're being forced out of somewhere.
Punishment.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go to biblical, like even like the Jews getting forced out of, was it Jerusalem? I don't know the Bible very well. Well, they were traveling 40 days in the desert. That's the thing.
Technically, I think, isn't that after they leave Egypt because they were enslaved?
That's it. Yeah. See, I know my Bible very well.
It's also, I think, the like plot of the Prince of Egypt. Like,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Not my example. It's not my fault.
I don't know. But it's just like those ideas that like, you must, for them, it was like a test almost, for like survive the desert and you will come out the other side better. You'll be at the promised land or whatever. And it's always that sacrifice, even Land Before Time. Like, have you seen them?
I kind of grew up watching them. But
okay. Because there's like 18 of them now. Like, yeah. But,
think,
in a Land Before Time.
All produced by like Spielberg, right? Yeah.
At least the first one for sure. After that, maybe.
Yes, at least the first one.
Well, I was going to say, because I was like, it might be Amblin Entertainment stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Spielberg actually, I believe, directed the first one. Don't quote me on that one. But he had a big hand in the first one.
Yeah.
That's why, because it was so beautifully animated and also very sad and tragic. But it's such a... when we start thinking about like how we put these in a story and like how we like why it's important, because actually I got a comment the other day is this about somebody who read my story and said, I really liked, everything going on and they're traveling between all these places, but I never got a sense of distance and like the time it took to get through some of these things. And I was like, oh, I guess I really never thought about that, because the problem is me being a visual guy, I put a map in there. Like, just look at the map. It has,
right.
Right. But it was
you don't want to rely on the map.
No, and it's a lesson learned, right? You got to kind of figure out how that works, and like, so how now I'm thinking about how am I going to like integrate that distance and like how we can say what they do. And then there is traveling in it, and I do it. I just don't think I did enough to accurately portray that.
Yeah, there's a lesson there, guys, because I know a lot of people rage about how overly descriptive Tolkien was about the journey. Like, I think Dave Barry said, he's a columnist, said, watching Lord of the Rings, he's like, it's about, watching these people travel to, this place in real time. It's like we're watching the whole journey step by step.
Right.
And it's like, okay, but there is a lesson. If you don't put enough in there, you don't have any sense of scale or scope or distance. And so you have to do some description. Like, I did put a decent amount of description in my own stuff on distances and the travel involved.
Yeah.
Especially with there's that first sort of foray, like there's a little bit less of it with the sailing, because it's often pretty featureless.
Sure. There's some water and there's some more water.
It took this many days. Here's what happened during those days, but the things you're looking at are different sections of sea, sometimes different coastline, which I'll work that in. But otherwise, once you're on land, like there's a lot of variety. There's a lot of difficulties with travel.
Sure.
Weather can be a difficulty, like mountains can be a difficulty, jungle, all kinds of things. And to really spend just a little bit of time really outlining that and outlining what people are experiencing during that time, it's even more about what they're experiencing than it is about just the distance, but it helps to have both.
I agree. And especially a big part of what they're experiencing, not only like for your characters and whatnot, but for your reader too, is to give them some kind of grounding thing like with your story. And I feel like that's an important part of like the description and the like chronicling like the time, that it takes for traveling somewhere. And even like the weight of that part of the journey is hard to put on paper.
Sure.
Like visually, I would say it's significantly easier because like in Free Run, which is an anime that we've been watching.
It's actually on my list of ones to watch. Yeah.
Definitely you should.
I genuinely think you might enjoy it because one, just the storytelling aspect of it, they just in between like scenes, let's say, they'll have montages of time passing.
Yeah.
And they just use like static images. Sometimes they're moving.
They're just doing something.
Yeah. And it's just simple. And there's just music overlay. And it's just enough to like show the passage of time, show characters are learning and experiencing things during that time passing. And it's just subtle. It's very subtle.
What's interesting about how you're describing that is what you're essentially describing is a montage.
Yeah.
It is a montage. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But like people don't, you think the term montage and you think like a training montage or like the montage song from,
South Park?
Team America, know.
Is it Team America?
Yeah.
Montage. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's Team America. Yeah. But you don't often think of a travel montage, but that's a really good use for a montage.
I agree.
And they do it. The reason why I think they use it and everything, because honestly, I don't think they need it. But they use it because they show that since Free Ren, she's an elf and she's lived hundreds of years.
Thousands even.
Well, at least one.
Yeah.
1,000s.
Yeah.
At least 1 year.
But those times she'll talk about 10 years as the most insignificant thing like for us for like 10 days. Like 10 years, like, we'll just do this for 10 years.
Like a Tolkien elf or something.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
And those montages show that quick movement. And I think it's almost to emulate her perception of time. Like where I think she might even see things in these kind of montages where there's no real perception of the time passing because it's so different for her.
Right.
Because 10 years means nothing,
Very well said. I haven't noticed that symbolism or that parallel to sort of like relay to us what it's like for her to go through time, being like a Tolkien elf, being like one of those Methuselahs.
Yeah.
Methuselah.
That's I've not really seen much depiction of that, what it's like to pass like endless years or even just a handful of years is a lot of time. So I'll have to check that out. But it's on my list, because the art and the recommendations. And,
Yes.
Yeah.
But
I think another thing that you'll like about it is that they take time to animate very mundane things.
Yeah.
They don't need to I
always appreciate that.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's a show that I hate like making this big of an extreme, but like that Tolkien would, like if he was alive, that he would have enjoyed because of the pauses and the weight of the like weight isn't like burden weight, like heavy, of the moments in the show. And so when you watch it,
let us know. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Things that I think do a good job of that. Otherwise, like Miyazaki films.
Yes, I was just thinking that too.
And also, in other ways, the animation style you described, like long shots or whatever, like Lotus War, Record of Lotus War is the full name. And I know these are 90s anime, because, you're drawing everything. And so you don't want to have to do a different drawing every time. And so these are techniques that they used a lot in the 80s and 90s.
Right.
With
or
anime.
Just the mouth moving, that would be it,
Yeah. And I think Ralph Bakshi used it a little bit too in his films.
Sure.
Including his Lord of the Rings. But yeah, I mean, I've seen it a little bit in live action stuff too, where like, yeah, you want to convey that there's a real journey going on, but you can't just, now they're still walking. What about now? They're still walking.
This time they use your left foot first, you know?
Yeah. No, I've seen role-playing games go that way sometimes. Yeah. I've even been a little guilty of that. I'm like, like just like, not running it great today. So I think that's really important, but a lot of the time, I think there's a focus either too much on the setting or too much on the character experience or too much on the plot motion. And I think all three need to be conveyed in proper measure. That doesn't mean they need to be equal, but they need to fit the story well.
Sure.
Because if you get just too much description and not enough other stuff, it's like, then people get bored with like, that's like the Tolkien approach in certain parts. Yeah. And I get what he was trying to do with part of it, but some of it, people are just like, all right, I'm over it. I was over it a page ago.
I mean, I think it's a little easy for us to say that like, hey, this doesn't work, but you gotta like sometimes.
Oh, I didn't say that.
well, I'll say it, but it's just like, and I haven't read the book, but what I'm saying is that like, sometimes when we speak about this stuff and people say they did too much or too little,
right?
Have you? A lot of this stuff was kind of experimental. Like, no one really had this kind of, especially for him, that kind of fantasy. So whatever he did, it was kind of the pioneering spirit. He was traveling through his own unknown area, and we kind of refine it as we go along. But there's a point where we refine stuff too much.
Yeah.
And then it becomes like regressive a little bit, where like sometimes you got to let that stuff breathe, because what you're talking about with like Miyazaki films and stuff of that is called Ma. And it's just those simple moments where like you just exist in a scene or like, and what does it say? It's like knowing what you're fighting for, knowing what like is at cost when you see these beautiful landscapes, or like, especially like in House Moving Castle and all the war that's going on. It's like, you see the beautiful land and everything, and it reinforces and makes more important the reason why like they're trying to stop
right
the war, the stakes. Yeah.
Although with Miyazaki, I was thinking more like moments where someone's like tapping their slippers, putting them on, or something like that. Those little things where it's like you wouldn't necessarily expect that to be animated, but they go the extra mile.
He really had a way of making the mundane magical,
right?
Which is a hard thing to do,
because animating makes things magical a lot of the time. And we're not just talking as anime fans here. It's just that when you have to animating things require, we should do an episode on animation. Honestly.
I would love that.
I'll be but you have to be deliberate about animating. It's not just, that got caught in the shot and it worked out.
Right.
You have to be deliberate about all of it. And that requires thought and attention to detail. But I think like Tolkien, I think that worked out. Like, I always think it's arrogant to be like, well, he wasn't really successful. I'm like, how many books those sold, like, what's based on that. So obviously he was doing something right. And people say, well, you don't do too much exposition. I'm like, Tom Clancy had a career. James Michener had a career. You guys probably don't know who that is. James Michener. No. He wrote historical fiction. And I think part of that long style was like setting description. I think part of that was just the style back then.
Sure. Yeah.
Cause he's like, older, he's long gone now, but he did a lot of historical fiction. And the joke with his stuff is that they're all doorstops, like there's so much exposition and so much description. And, I think that styles change like that. Yeah. And some things were very popular then and they aren't as popular now, and vice versa. Yeah. And so it's good to have all those elements of travel, getting back to travel, up here, so that you've got your character interaction that would happen, like, people learning from each other, people joking around, random obstacles you run across. Like, that's why a lot of nautical stuff, there'll be a storm scene.
Sure.
Because what other weird things are you going to encounter in there? Hey, welcome to Bards and Balladers podcast. I hope you're enjoying it. If you are, click like, comment, share this video, and subscribe. Click the notification bell down below. Our links and our Discord are in the description below. And now back to the podcast. Show all those different aspects. And it's important to have some of it be mundane, because when it isn't, that actually fails at conveying the passage of time and distance. I think that's a kind of a neat trick of the trade to show mundane things in that, because that's where the mundane things come out the most, is in those long treks.
Right.
Like, like pirate stuff, it's 9 parts boredom and 1 part action.
Sure.
Stuff needs to happen during the boredom because it would.
Right.
And if it's not happening, then people don't get the sense that they've been around any time.
Right.
And I feel like antics also come out during those times of boredom too, because idle hands,
Yeah.
But often I think those can be used as like character opportunities and character like development opportunities too, as writers, so that there's no wasted time. You know, even though on a journey, there is definitely like, I don't want to say wasted time, but time that's just time that needs to be passed.
Right. And you can fill some of that with, he spent a lot of like those days thinking about blank, or, she spent a lot of that time, like Koya maybe spent a lot of that time learning English, and I give a couple example,s and then you just blow through it.
Right.
But you only learned the bad words, right?
Yeah, it's only swearing.
He's the mouth of a sailor.
Yep.
Yeah, I put a little thing in there of like, just like having a little amusement with the people teaching her about the difference between port guns and gun ports, and it's like, this is
order means, something,
Yeah,
right,
that's funny.
Right.
But that's something that you would see filling like a large expanse of time, where there's not a lot going on.
Yes. Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, I don't know how well I do passage of time, but I do like writing it, kind of like for that reason. Like you can kind of summarize things. You can almost like, I don't want to say, like, what's it called when like in a video game, you're just building up the stats of your characters.
Grinding.
Yeah.
We're killing boars,
Yeah, I can't kill boars and don't get level 50.
And because like the fetch quests, you can only do so many of them. You can only show so many of them, but
that's filling time. Like,
But at the same time, it builds up your characters' like stats.
Well,
I keep using that word, but
for some of these games, like these online games, they do it so they stay in the game. You pay more money to them, but that's another thing. But I was gonna say to your effect, like the passage of time is. Again, I feel like I have to get better at that, and also distance or whatever. But I do use actual dates. Like I'll put dates in front of some of my chapters whenever like big momentous occasions happen. I'll be like yellow moon, yellow waxing moon, year, whatever,
Right.
Because I wanted that, and I just like having that like specific like timeline of when stuff happens. And even on our website, we have a breakdown of the timeline, which is kind of cool, and like just a little. This happens and this happens, a really quick like bullet points so people can just reference that really quick. And but I also think that when we talk about when we're writing these stories and putting how we travel through things, I think back to the medium of travel, and not just like the standards, like it's water, earth, wind, and space,
air, fire,
water, and together we make Captain Planet. And but I like when they get kind of creative with it. And this actually, space was one where they started doing like stuff like warp and like faster and light, or like impulse and all this hyperspace, wormholes, like stuff of that, which is kind of cool. Which is kind of,
you said wormholes for the record.
What do you think I said?
I heard the word worm in there, which is not
wormholes. They can be warm. You don't know.
It is a vessel for traveling.
Yeah, but one of the most unique ones I found interesting when it comes to space travel is both Warhammer 40K, and I talked about this in another episode, and also Event Horizon is the movie. And it's basically they find a way to bend space or travel through space through warp, and it's basically traveling through hell when they do it and everything. With Event Horizon, it was like they traveled through hell and they went through this kind of weird paradox, but they were able to jump from point to point. But when they brought back some evil with them, it was kind of like almost supernatural at some point because it started taking over the ship. With Warhammer 40K, it's literal hell, like, and it's where all the demons and like the chaos demons and stuff of that live in there. And there's even gods that live in this like warp. Like,
it's a weird kind of hyperspace. It's a shorter distance through hell. Let's just go that through.
Yeah. You just got to survive through it. That's
it's
all.
The opposite of the scenic route.
But it's literally how hyperspace tends to work. It was like, it's a quicker trip through hyperspace. We'll just go through there. It's like, what if hell was faster?
Yeah. But I mean, it's how it works. Yeah.
And in Warhammer, like, is there a symbolic like purpose?
I think they were just trying to find other ways to put bad guys in there.
Oh, sure.
I honestly don't know. But it's like, they're very like, all the races in like Warhammer 40K, I think are very like cool and unique and everything. Like they have these orcs. Their orcs are mushroom based, and they're stupid, but they're psionic. They have psionic abilities. They literally, the only reason their weapons work is because they believe they work, and they fire bullets because
they're always on shrooms.
They are funguses.
I know.
But believe it, so it becomes true.
Yeah, and
it's a real fun guy.
It was a really fun guy, but they're Scottish for some reason. I don't know, but they have Scottish accents whenever I hear people do like.
So they say mushroom.
Sorry. No, it's perfect. And you asked me a question. Now I can't remember what I was going to answer.
Purpose of like going through hell in 40K.
I don't know,
but
it's because it's cool. Like it's just like a cool mechanic or whatever, and they just trying to be edgy, I guess. I don't know.
But just being faster. It's basically the purpose.
Oh, Star Trek. Thank you.
Always comes back to Star Trek.
Because I was telling you about this episode the other day where, and maybe you remember this one too, where they had to stop using warp as much because it was damaging warp space. It was damaging the fabric of space and causing tears, I think. Yeah,
it was their like environmental rehab episode.
It really was, yeah. But it's just kind of cool to use then travel in that respect because it becomes more than just like the means of travel or how they travel, but like you can't just do anything without some kind of repercussion.
The consequences of travel, the cost of travel, just like ozone emissions, and that's basically what it was. Like the high warp speeds are damaging space time or whatever. Which it was, it was an allegory for environmental conservation.
Which is cool because then you can use that again. I find that fascinating when you can use it not just as again the means, but like just to say or create a story around there. And I'm trying to think of another way of doing that, but
yeah, I think one thing one thing you see a lot with travel and stories is especially like the older, like the historical or fantasy type stories where people are trekking on foot or horseback or something for a long time, or even I guess certain other stories, but like diplomacy. Everyone sends an ambassador somewhere, and that took a lot longer in the past than it does now.
Sure.
And so like, Babylon 5 has ambassadors, but they're all taking spaceships there. They go in, they come out, whatever. Right. But like, I was running my Lord of the Rings game and, you created an ambassador basically.
I did, I guess. Yeah.
And so like she's taking a while to get there. And of course, by the time you get there, certain things on your to-do lists of like, it's too late, find this thing that we heard about. Oh, it's already gone. And so like passage of time matters with that too, is that you're not always in time, and news only travels as fast as the fastest means of travel.
Unless you have Ansible from like Ender's Game.
What's an Ansible?
It's an instant communication over thousands of light years.
Yeah. I mean, sci-fi is different. Like, our fastest means of travel is not as quick as a phone call.
Sure, that's what you mean. Yeah.
Like in the older stuff, it's like the only way to send messages was, again, like things like smoke signals or like semaphore, like in the 18th and 19th centuries, you could do like signaling over distances, and there was some of that. But otherwise, in general, if you want to send a message that no one's watching for, you have to send a person, or maybe a carrier pigeon, but like. You're looking for the fastest way for a message to get there. And a lot of the time it's not going to get there any faster than you do. And so even just diplomats or messengers or even the Pony Express. I mean, they were, that was a dangerous job because people tried to rob that person all the time to get important documents, papers, money, whatever. So they'd usually take people who like orphans and such to work for the Pony Express. Like young boys, like 16, 17 years old, no family, pay them well, but you got to be fast.
Yeah.
And it was a whole other thing.
You know, to that Pony Express, because I was thinking about this kind of, because like I feel like time and distance are like they're so interwoven that like when you had the Pony Express or when you had letters being sent and they had to go these long distances and you had to wait between these like exchanges made stuff more valuable. Like, you know, the fact that when you got a letter, like that was a big deal.
Yeah,
like,
receiving mail was a big deal.
Yeah. And it's because we know the worth of it, because now you send the emails there in like 4 seconds, you know,
Right.
And not that we don't care about some of those emails, but it's like the weight of things seems to have, I don't want to say lessen, but like it means more just when you know the effort that's put forth to get these things, you know, so that travel puts more, you know, even in like getting something from across the world, you know, if you get like a package and maybe it takes a week for Timo, but when you get it, it's like, that's great. But once we get like replicators or even 3D printers to be able to make some of this stuff, that's gonna be obsolete. Like there isn't gonna be travel time. It's like I buy this, I print it, I'm done. You know, like you know,
right?
Yeah,
like technology really, it's a real game changer with travel too.
Yeah.
I mean, we travel faster, we send messages faster, and it's funny to me that you know we're like in this day and age where we can communicate everything we need to in certain scenarios like business meetings and stuff like that remotely, and yet we still like, well, I'm flying out to this business meeting, like. Why?
Guess face to
you know,
face, so
it's like, there's value in it, but is there that much value in it? You know, couldn't this have been an email? That kind of thing. And now that, you know, we're having this, you know, like fuel prices fluctuate all the time. And when it's higher, people are like, do we really need to send Bob?
And they think about it. Yeah. Like beforehand, like, nah.
I don't know. How do we really, what do we really need to do? And, you know, a huge part of travel in fiction is it's about necessity. But there's also, you know, like things like travel for escape too. Like, you know, the song Fast Car.
What's that?
It's a fast car.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
And she's basically, you know, she wants to get away from her life, but she's kind of taking some of the worst elements of her life with her. You know, like if you look at the lyrics and everything, she's going with her boyfriend and they've got all these dreams and they're going somewhere else to try to make those things happen. And they end up somewhere else. And then it's like, she's got a dead end job and he's unemployed and none of those dreams are coming true. And eventually she's like, like take your fast car and like, get out of here. You're not doing any of the things you said. Like, this isn't the life we signed up for. And
I have to listen to the song now.
Yeah. Actually, I mean, I've heard it a dozen times, and I've never really listened to the lyrics.
You know, I pay a lot more attention to lyrics when I see it done for karaoke.
Oh, sure.
Because you can see the lyrics in front of you.
That
You're
makes
like,
sense.
You're like, okay, this song, like this has different elements than I necessarily heard. You know.
Yeah. Actually, now that we're discussing this, I feel like every time we have an episode, I realize, I either use this a lot or I don't use it at all. And this is a concept that I just love having traveling in my stories. And even Valkas of the Greater Wilds is a good example of just like, I love everything about Avali. I love everything about, you know, the concept of a journal of a researcher, like going through the wilds of a foreign world and just writing down what she sees, writing down her experiences.
You're the doctor and master and commander there.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah. He just wants to see the Galapagos Islands.
See some turtles.
Yes. And I think that there's something just so wonderfully, I'm going to say mundane about that to me, because it's something that just feels like it should be so like natural for everybody to travel, but in this day and age it's like, no, we
take it for granted.
Yeah.
And you know, like it's a great opportunity. If you love world building, it's a great opportunity to do it.
Sure.
Or if you hate it, it's, you know, well, sorry.
Right.
It's like you kind of need it to some degree.
Yeah.
And so like, you know, that's maybe good news for you. If you're like, I need to do more of this. It's more like, I get to do more of this.
Yes.
Sure. Fair enough.
You know,
it's more that you get to add to the story, that it supplements it. And it's not something that's like taking away from plot, but it enhances it.
And I do, sorry, real quick there. I do two scenes I know in my story that are actually really good, that do build character, that do build the understanding of the world and everything. I just think that it was just one direction and another direction going south. But I think if I just did more of that, even in between some of the scenes, it would be good. It could even be like a paragraph or two. It doesn't even have to be like a lot.
Like a
It's
sentence,
just,
yeah.
Right.
yeah, or even a sentence. Yeah, it was raining down the slopes, whatever.
Right.
And so yeah, to that point.
But yeah, I think like one of the traps that I think we get into as writers, and I imagine this happens with screenwriters and such, but even most of all, I think with like novelists, is that we want to get to the next plot point or the next cool development we're looking forward to.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, well, there's some traveling that happens in the middle. Just like you said, like sometimes you'll put in brackets and this happens.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to do that with the travel too.
Sure.
So that we're okay. Am I giving enough detail for this part?
Mhm.
Because it feels like it slows down the pace. And if you want it to be fast paced, then you're like, but I have to slow this down. But then you also have to think, well, but this would be slowed down for the characters. Do I want to keep the characters moving at this pace? Because if I do, there can't be any travel here. Unless it's a situation like Marathon, where the guy's like
Right.
running, the original Marathon, I think was supposed to be much further than 26 miles. So it was like some closer to like 45 or 50 miles,
Oh, dang.
which is why the dude dropped dead afterward. But again, like, unless you want it to be that style of travel, which is like, Gandalf and Pippin on Shadowfax or something like it's just this blurry memory of, whatever that I can just skim through. Then your characters have to take the time. They have to take that hit to the pace they're moving at because they know that they have to travel. So they're not going to be like amped up that whole time. And so you've got to sort of follow their lead and be like, okay, I have to tone this down for a bit because it's going to take them a week and a half to get there.
Yeah. And like good examples of this too are like when people feel lost and don't know what to do, so they just go and do something. And one of the ones I always think about is Forrest Gump, where Jenny leaves and then he joins the military and he does all this stuff. Or that's when and then when does he start running across the country?
After they get it on, and then she takes off the next morning.
Yeah, but even so, like when she leaves, even prior to that, he goes in the military and does all these crazy stuff and everything because he just has to do. And even like Starship Troopers, where Rico has to like he kind of follows his girlfriend, but he gets in infantry and she becomes a pilot, and so he's traveling across the world because of a girl. Like, it's just it's always a girl for some reason, right? I mean, boys do dumb things for girls, so
and vice versa.
Yeah.
Like I knew a family where one of the daughters was following New Kids on the Block around, and she actually took like, they were all going to a concert, like her and a sister or two and like a couple of friends or something, and she was driving and like she started like following the van bus like down to Iowa or something, and they're like, stop, what are you doing? Like she's like, all right, I'll turn around at the next stop, and like when we stop, we'll get gas and we'll turn around and go home. It's got gas, so I got back in the car and she kept following it. And it turned out it was just their gear.
Funny.
But it's like that is some crazy, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But imagine the travel experience for everyone else in that vehicle too.
Very
and
different.
also for her, like her state of mind.
Yeah.
She was just like a teenager at the time.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm like, well,
what are those kids on the block? Kids on the block?
New Kids on the Block.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know boy band. Sorry, guys.
And I think, changing tack a little bit, like, what are some of the things that help convey the sense of what it's like to travel? Like, we talked to David about employing all the five senses and stuff.
Yeah.
But like it's really thrown open with travel because so many new experiences.
Yeah.
Like, we talked about like how a different land can smell different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like, do you guys use like that stuff very much, or? Because I know if you're visual, the trap is to stick with visual stuff.
Right. And I definitely do that. But I did try a little bit to do like smells, like, when they got into a forest, like of this specific, like it was very earthy smelling forest, but with like a very resinous sap smell.
Yeah.
Like, and that's, I was trying to give that like sweeter smell to the forest that doesn't really come to like the arid plains and like, and cactus, like, you just don't get that. It's all dust and
Change in foliage. Change in animal types too. I'll do that.
And also if
food.
And also if there are things like senses you don't use in it, which ones do you appreciate when you see them? You know, but I finish your thought.
I mean, because food, I have more opportunity to talk about like taste of them.
Yeah.
Or the different flavors that come about with different types of food.
Yeah.
Language use too is something else, which is, I guess, a hearing thing. Like sounds are different.
Right. Accents and dialects and even just, when did we cross the pop soda line, you know?
Right. That I
did
don't
we
use
second
as
to
much,
like,
but
what? I'm like, no, I got it.
fizzy drink.
It's pop here in Minnesota.
Or sort of the sucker lollipop line.
The bubbler or the
bubbler.
Fun drink line, or not fun drink, water fountain. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What do I appreciate though? When I always appreciate like descriptions of smells and hearing, because those are just two very strong things for me.
Sure.
And then again, just plant like foliage and animals. Like I like those change in descriptions too. And the horizon. I like when the horizon is acknowledged,
Right?
because it's something I look towards a lot personally.
Yeah.
And so when it's, when the picture is painted like in a book or like in a movie or something, that it depicts the vastness of wherever you are or lack thereof.
Yeah. Or even just, I like light quality. Like light quality is really strong for memories for me in my own life. And so I like to see that depicted, like how in the tropics, it's like a more saturated blue in the sky, or even like the sun appears to rise and set faster because of the particular motion of the earth. It's like glancing at something head on instead of from the side. Like, it can appear to go by faster when you're looking, when it's moving like this instead of like that,
Right.
And
illusion almost. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? Anything?
It's, again, being a newer writer and not reading much and everything, and this is probably a fault of mine, but I'm learning, is that like, I just want to get, like you said, to those plot points. Like, that's very important. Like the travel doesn't really matter, but like, I need to shift my thinking a lot, I think, to those. It's okay to fill it up and everything. Again, this is not a movie. If I did a movie, it'd be different. I can show, I know how I can show travel and distance and time change visually, but writing it is such a different thing. Like it's another beast and everything. So it's like, I want to say I don't personally need it. And that's probably why I haven't done it as much. It's not like I haven't totally ignored it, but I can see why people like, no, I want to live in this world. Expand that for me. Like, that's, and so I'll try about harder next time.
But it's sort of like, last week I asked you guys, what's your favorite place to travel to and why? And what you guys conveyed, there was a lot of, sights and the sensation of feeling safe or enclosed and smells and like colors and, like there's all these reasons. And like, so that's the sort of stuff you get to tap into when you're like, how do I fill up this world,
Right.
And fill up this adventure? Because it's, like we know the various reasons that characters travel in fiction, but what's the experience of it,
Right.
And like that can be, it can slow you down. You're like, okay, why am I being impatient about this? Or even just, did I think the book was going to be this long and now it needs to be like longer, because I need to fill this out.
Right.
And what changes do I have to make based on what I originally thought I needed to do?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's worth doing too. I really do. And that's where like having an editor might, come in handy too, because they can help whittle down what might not be needed versus what you do want in there.
My brother did get me to expound on certain, he's like, I want more description for this. And it was exactly at points where I was like wanting to get to the next thing.
Interesting.
Because it's easy to, right?
Yeah.
Because we're trying to not waste any space. We're not waste any time.
And I am a plot person. So I'm like, next plot point.
Yeah. Very important. I get it. Yeah. And I know that we're not gonna have time for this, but I'd like to maybe in the future speak about like, as this traveling spiritual journeys and stuff like that, and how that works in a lot of stories, or that disconnection from body and mind, And like even the Matrix does this a little bit too, where there's a real world and a digital world, you know?
Yeah.
And traveling between those two things can be jarring at times as well. And how they kind of navigate that.
Maybe like a whole episode on like transitions.
Ooh, yeah.
I wouldn't mind that because I do have that in my story, and I always like learning something from whatever we talk about.
Sure, yeah. Yeah. So, but any final thoughts? Any kind of like last ideas of travel?
If you are someone who likes to create worlds, or what, you know, if you're a writer or whatever, other creative, or even you write songs, travel. I mean, hell, just anybody travel. I used to say we'd be a much different, much broader minded place if we required, you know, like, and paid for, like, every high school kid has to spend a minimum of 2 months living in a minimum of 3 other countries, 2 weeks minimum per country,
Wow,
just for the change in perspective and sights and all the things you're going to learn and internalize from that.
Yeah.
Just travel if you can. I know not everyone can, but if you can do it, just do it.
But it doesn't even have to be like international. Like literally just go. Like I remember that when I was in high school, I used to skip class or skip the day and everything. And I would just drive. I literally would just go in a direction and start driving and see. And then one, it was kind of fun because I would remember like which way do I have to come back to there. But it's like I remember just seeing things and just like, and it was like nothingness, or nothing special, but it was an adventure. Yeah. You know,
whatever kind of travel you can do it.
Do it.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Ditto. That's it.
So with that, we have been Bars and Beers.
We're Bars and Beers.
Some
today.
of us have had a few.
Yeah. We are Bars and Balladeers.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Yeah.
That's Kate.
Oh,
I'm Rio. And that's Oscar. So have a good day, and we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.